2020 looks to be one of the best years for new roller coasters across the globe. Once this pandemic calms down and the parks reopen, I'm excited to get on some of these roller coasters and see how they stack up to my favorites. Today, I'm counting down my 15 most anticipated coasters for 2020. I want to note that my list will exclude the coasters in China due to the limited amount of information known about some of them. I wanted to stick to rides confirmed by their respective parks. So kicking off this list is number 15, Inhouse Ubercoaster at Tripsdrill. I was really hoping this coaster wouldn't make the list so I wouldn't have to try to pronounce it, but that was my attempt to say it. I am really interested to see how smooth and intense this next generation Vekoma invert rides. It also helps this coaster will be intertwined with another family coaster. Number 14, Icebreaker at SeaWorld Orlando. This looks like a sleeper hit for the 2020 season. The layout looks to have a dozen or so spots of airtime, and Premier Rides coasters are usually super smooth and re-rideable. Number 13, the Unknown Infinity Coaster at Powerland. Originally theorized to be an extension to the park's pre-existing Junker coaster, Powerland decided to add a completely separate Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster with the same paint scheme as Junker right next to Junker. No official POV has been released, but from the available photos, it looks to have a great vertical drop and several bunny hills. Gerstlauer usually focuses more on inversions, but the few airtime hills they've given us in the past have some really strong ejector airtime. Number 12, West Coast Racers at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Say hello to the 2019 coaster that was delayed. This was the hardest coaster to rate since I've actually ridden it, but this is where I would have slotted in had I not ridden it yet. The layout is extremely diverse, offering launches, floaty inversions, some airtime, and that awesome dueling element. Number 11, Mission Ferrari at Ferrari World. If you thought Six Flags Magic Mountain had a bad delay with West Coast Racers, what would you say about Mission Ferrari? The dynamic attractions SFX coaster that was originally supposed to open back in 2017. No one really knows what's going on with this coaster, but I'm morbidly curious since it's been rumored to have multiple launches, a drop track, a tilt track, and multiple inversions. Plus, with most of the ride taking place in a show building, there's a good chance it's themed as well. Number 10, Texas Stingray at SeaWorld San Antonio. Based on the early reviews of this coaster, it moved up a bit for me. This coaster doesn't seem to lose any speed, and it's a pretty long ride packed with a ton of ejector pops we've come to expect from GCI. Number 9, Leviathan at SeaWorld Australia. I love all of Gravity Group's creations, so I'm really intrigued to one day ride one of their larger coasters that was designed from the start with the Timberliners in mind. Leviathan has a nice long layout with lots of airtime hills, and in typical Australian fashion, they did something funky with the back car. The back row lets you ride backwards. Number 8, Blue Fire variant at Dreamworld Australia. I love Blue Fire, so when I heard Dreamworld was getting a unique spin on this layout with a multi-pass launch, vertical spike, and a spinning back car, my attention was grabbed. The last item in particular is why I'm most interested in this coaster. Time Traveler is fantastic, but Blue Fire has a superior layout, so I'd love to see those two concepts married together. I'm also intrigued to see if the spinning car will be a free spinner like the one that was prototyped on Blue Fire in Europa, or if it'll be more of a controlled spin like Time Traveler. Number 7, F.L.Y. at Phantasialand. While this one technically hasn't been confirmed for 2020, it seems likely to open this year. Will it be snappy and forceful, or will it be more of a graceful ride? But one thing is for certain, Phantasialand is going to give this coaster a stunning theme with a ton of near-miss elements during the ride. Number 6, Demonium at Hershey Park. The first half of this coaster looks very similar to Mako, one of my favorite B&M hypers. The airtime in Mako's first half is some of the most sustained floater airtime you can find anywhere. So if Demonium rides anything like that and offers a better finale, this has a chance to be one of B&M's best coasters. Number 5, Abyssus at Energylandia. The roller coaster capital of Europe struck again in 2020 with the first Vekoma Shockwave. This multi-launch coaster has a nice balance between airtime hills and inversions. If this rides anywhere as well as Lek Coaster, this will be an absolutely fantastic and world-class coaster. That's especially true since this ride looks to have some nice theming as well from the rendering. Number 4. Pantheon at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This is yet another multi-launch coaster finding its way into this list. Pantheon has some new elements for Intamin, and I'm intrigued to see how they ride. In particular, that massive outward banked airtime hill and that elongated zero-G stall. And that's especially true since you'll have those super freeing new generation Intamin trains. I loved those on Red Force and Terran. Number 3. Orion at Kings Island. Hyper or Giga? Enthusiasts will debate this until the end of time, but what I care most about is that this looks to be an upgraded version of Canada's Wonderland's Leviathan, and I really like Leviathan. From the off-ride footage I've seen, this coaster appears to absolutely haul through the layout, which should offer a wonderful mix of airtime and speed. Number 2. Jersey Devil Coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure. I love the original Raptors, so I was ecstatic to see a park close to me get an extended layout. The original Raptors are some of the best paced coasters on the planet, so if Jersey Devil can maintain its speed like Wonder Woman or Railblazer, this coaster will probably top El Toro for the best ride in the park. I can't wait to see just how much airtime this coaster has. Number 1. Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens, Tampa. I was originally on the fence whether I was more excited for Jersey Devil or Iron Gwazi, but the test footage of Iron Gwazi sealed the deal. That massive drop and death roll looked tantalizing. Steel Vengeance and Untamed are two of my favorite steel coasters, and if this newest RMC hybrid can match the intensity and injector airtime of those two coasters, this will undoubtedly be one of the country's best roller coasters. So those are my top 15 most anticipated coasters for 2020. I'm hoping I'll be able to ride a good chunk of the coasters in this list this year, but we have to see what happens with the pandemic first. Until then, what are your most anticipated coasters for 2020? I'd love to hear your comments down below. Thanks for listening and stay tuned for more coaster videos here at Canopy Coaster.